Let's go. The moments that make up the dull days. Are you kidding me, man? Had to kick it off strong today, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of Pink Floyd. Let's jam out for a sec before we start. Waiting for someone or something to show you the way. You know, that's one of the biggest interviews that I want to get. Like, if we're talking bucket list interviews, David Gilmour, probably at the top. I would say at least top 5 of people I want to interview. Shout out to Rick Beato, by the way, who interviewed him the other day. I gotta stop this before I get copy striked. No one told you when to run, motherfuckers. You missed the starting gun. Blast for me to turn it off before the solo, but I have to retain my channel. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream right here on Cassius Morris Official. We are currently streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Kick. So hopefully all the feeds are running properly and simultaneously. And it's a beautiful day to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. We have a stacked stream today. And I'm trying to start off calm because I'm probably going to go wild on this stream. This is going to be one of them ones, okay? We have Joe Rogan versus The View, a feud which has been brewing for a very long time. We're going to break down what the actual feud is all about and read some comments on my recent post addressing The View. We also have Jay Leno and his mystery injuries. Jay Leno appearing in front of the press this week, completely black and blue, and I'm not exaggerating. The story does not add up, so we're going to do some investigating of our own. And finally, Ellen DeGeneres has fled the country of the United States for Great Britain in lieu of a second Trump presidency. We're going to cover all of this and more on today's live stream, opening up with Joe Rogan. Now, for anybody who's missing the context here, Joe Rogan versus The View, this is sort of a battle that I think has been brewing for quite a while. We've seen Joe Rogan being incredibly critical of The View, even going as far as starting his podcast with Donald Trump by criticizing them. And The View has had a lot to say in the past week, a lot to say about a lot of different topics. But this take, especially by Joy Behar, I think takes the cake as one of the wildest, most hilarious things I've ever heard on network television. So let's take a look at the video before we comment any further. These are the ladies of The View speaking about Joe Rogan and the fact that he is a threat to the internet and social media because he believes in dragons. Let's take a listen.
People want us divided, and they aren't just here in this country. There are foreign adversaries who are infiltrating our social media because it is prudent for us to stay that way. So when you see something that really pisses you off, you should triple check that one.
Yeah, but I think that that's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
we're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, you know, the legal note here.
The human legal.
But we went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons. He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like I guess like dinosaur-y type of animals, roamed the earth when people did. So this is the type of really, really bad information that's going out there.
Well, in defense, there are some really good news.
It's possible that Donald Trump did roam the earth when dinosaurs were here.
There are some really good news kind of influencer types, and I think it's great that they're getting information about global and current events in front of younger people who maybe don't tune into traditional media. But to Sarah's point, there has to be some fact-checking and actually verification of the things that are shared, because I spend a lot of time on Instagram Reels, and I'm served up things that I get outraged about, and then I realize, oh, that's not even true, but I have the sense to go and look it up. But what I do worry about with this, like the Blue Sky versus X, because a lot of people I follow on X, Twitter, have now left to go to Blue Sky, I worry we're all going into our own echo chamber. So we had this, this election that was tense. Donald Trump won, and the right is going to stay on X, and then the left is all going to be on Blue Sky. How do we try to talk to each other?
Unfortunately, I will have to say,
how?
The other side, I think, has driven
people away because it's not just discourse. It's nasty name calling and coming after your family and I'm going to do this to you. And I don't think anyone should have to take that from anybody if they don't have to. So I'm not, and I think a lot of Republicans who also are getting that because they have opinions that may differ from what is being said. They're moving as well because, and I know why also because, as I believe, Elon Musk is the actual vice president.
I do think we have a crisis.
Okay, so a lot to unpack there, ladies and gentlemen, from the panel on The View. So first of all, just a couple things to break down. For me, what really stands out in this clip is the hypocrisy. Okay, so the first thing that was really mentioned was that Joe Rogan is a source of wrong information, of bad information. Then at the end of this clip, in which they're talking about providing misinformation, Whoopi Goldberg says Elon Musk is the actual vice president. So definitely not doing anything to combat misinformation or bad information with this segment of The View. The second comment, of course, by Joy Behar is pretty ludicrous as well. But, what really strikes me about this whole situation is how tone deaf the ladies of The View actually are when it comes to why Joe Rogan is so relevant today, when it comes to why so many people would rather listen to him instead of listen to them. The comment from Joy Behar was very telling. She goes, I think the reason why people like our show is because we're checked by ABC. Joy, I hate to break it to you, my love, but that's actually the reason why people don't like your show anymore. Because they understand that not only are you checked by ABC, you're paid by ABC, and you are run by ABC. So you are basically a puppet for this network. There is no person out there in 2024 who actually believes that the people they're seeing on TV shows like The View are actually sharing genuine thoughts from their own perspective, okay? I think that anybody with a brain is realizing that in 2024, all these pundits that you see on TV, all these people you see pushing these ridiculous views from basically their masters, okay? Because their masters are ABC. Nobody's buying this anymore. So to be so out of touch with what people are actually relating to in 2024, the sources that people are actually trusting, for you to just say, well, people trust us because we're checked by ABC, that is a 30-year-old mindset that is completely outdated. And the more and more The View talks about these things, the more they try to discuss it, the more they try to wrap their minds around why a guy like Joe Rogan is doing so much better than them, not only when it comes to ratings, but when it comes to the actual trust of the people, the more they are showing why they are completely out of touch. Nobody who is under the age of 40 to 45 believes in ABC as a network. We're not watching CNN. We're not watching MSNBC, Fox News, because we know that everybody on these networks is being paid to spout certain views, and they're going to spout the views of the person running the network. It's not even a theory anymore. But you know what is a conspiracy theory? Whoopi Goldberg saying that Elon Musk is the real vice president of the United States. Joy Behar talking about dinosaurs and dragons. And the other funny thing too, by the way, they're talking about how people in Rogan's camp like to throw insults and throw personal attacks. Not even halfway through this clip, Joy Behar is sending a personal attack against Donald Trump, calling him a dinosaur, calling him a dragon, prehistoric. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. But you know why I love it, guys? It's because we are watching the media establishment breathe its dying breaths. That is what we're watching right now. We are watching a machine which has had a monopoly over the way that people think and the views that people have since it began, okay? We're watching it slowly die its last breaths. And if anybody can speak to this, it's me. I have been doing this since 2008. I have watched every single trend in this field. I have watched every up and every down in the field of independent media, podcasting, and YouTube. I've seen it all. I've been there on the front lines. And the reason why people relate more to it is because it's simply more relatable. It's more real. A podcast like Joe Rogan actually makes people feel like they're gaining information and knowledge from the actual person, not just talking points from a news network. Now, this follows an incredible week for The View of just ridiculously bad takes and flubs and blunders. For a little recap of what The View has been saying for the past week, not only do they have these ridiculous comments about Joe Rogan and fire-breathing dragons, the last shining moment from Whoopi Goldberg was when she got on The View and told everybody, you might think you're struggling to pay for your groceries, but guess what? I'm struggling too. That's the actual quote from Whoopi Goldberg, telling the audience on The View, the show which she's paid, by the way, $8 million a year to do, that if she had all the money in the world, she wouldn't even be on the stage. That is what she tried to tell her audience. Whoopi Goldberg, a celebrity multi-millionaire, not a millionaire. This isn't somebody who has $100,000 in the bank. A multi-millionaire movie star who just got a new deal for another Sister Act movie and is paid $8 million a year to host a dumpster fire of a show, had the audacity to get on the microphone and tell people, if I had enough money, I wouldn't even be here. So who do you think that people, especially in my generation, Whoopi, are going to relate to? Are we going to relate to the guys who sit on a podcast and just talk what they think? Or are we going to relate to a woman who says, I'm basically bullshitting you. I'm sitting here reading a script. I don't even want to be here. And I wouldn't be here if I didn't need the money. So that's the first shining moment of The View from this week. The next shining moment was, of course, the legal note from Matt Gaetz. They're sitting on the show saying ridiculous conspiracy theories, saying things that were, I guess, proven to be untrue in a court of law, to the point where they almost got themselves sued. And they had to jump on the actual same episode of the show and make a legal retraction and apology for the misinformation that they're spouting. So guys, I've had it up to here, okay? If we're going to hear about misinformation and disinformation, that is a conversation I think we need to have, okay? Don't get me wrong. I think there's tons of misinformation. I think Joe Rogan's show has definitely spread some misinformation. I don't think everything Rogan does or says is perfect. I think he's had a lot of problematic guests on the show. But if we're going to talk about this topic of misinformation and people saying wrong info and people saying personal attacks, the last people I want to hear it from are the women on The View, because that is exactly what they specialize in. They sit on this panel and spout garbage all day long. Ridiculous conspiracy theories. Elon Musk is the vice president? Lady, what are you talking about? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And again, I don't think everything Joe Rogan does is perfect. I definitely don't think everything Elon Musk does is perfect. But what they're doing here by being so tone deaf is they're playing into these guys' hand. Everything that these guys are saying, the women on The View are, they are proving themselves to be more and more of that every single day. They've proven, the more they fight against it, to be more unreliable than we actually thought, to have worse opinions than we actually thought, to have more bad information and disinformation than we may have actually thought. Not only that, but every time they have somebody on their show who doesn't, religiously believe in every single thing that they say, all of their mindsets, all of their philosophies about the country and the world, if you have a person who even deviates from their agenda just a little bit, they are tag teamed and bullied by the women of The View. We've seen it happen time and time again. And this is another reason why a show like Joe Rogan is infinitely more popular and successful than a show like The View. Because Rogan has said openly he'll have anybody on, he will listen to what you have to say, and they'll have an actual discourse about it. No commercials in the middle, no deceptive or selective editing, no pressure from networks or major conglomerates, basically. It is straight from the source, whether you like it or not. It's from the horse's mouth. And I am sick and tired, guys, as a young person in today's day and age, of being told that the better ways of communication that we've come up with, the more efficient, more entertaining ways of communication, such as podcasting and free media, I'm sick and tired of being bullied and marginalized and told that we are wrong, told that we are a subculture, told that we are, in the minority here. The people in the minority are the people who still watch the mainstream media. The people in the minority are the people who still believe The View. These are the people in the minority. And I'm sick and tired of being treated like I'm in the minority when I'm actually in the majority. So let's take a look at the numbers. You could say, oh, Cassius, that's ridiculous. The View is way bigger than Joe Rogan. Let's take a look at some of the recent ratings for The View to further back up what I'm saying. So The View in November 2024 had their highest ratings in 10 years. The highest ratings in 10 years for their show, with a viewership of 3.78 million people watching in 1 week. So that's the highest they've done in a decade. When Joe Rogan released his podcast with Donald Trump, it amassed 38 million views in 3 days. To me, that's where the conversation ends. I mean, 38 million in 3 days versus 3 million in a week. The ratings are garbage. And guys, if you look on The View, go to their YouTube channel right now. I get a similar viewership to The View. The View puts out a clip, they get 5,000, 10,000 views. My last live stream, I think I had 17,000, 18,000 people watching. So I performed for a stadium the last time I did a live stream. The View is not even doing numbers like that when they post on YouTube, and they're on a major network. They have millions and millions of dollars backing them. So why do you guys think that is? Here's why. Because people aren't buying it anymore. And here's my message to the people who are fighting against this, because I got a lot of ridiculous comments when all I did was ask, why is The View still on air? I got called all types of names, people saying all types of ridiculous theories and this and that. But it's simply a question. The thing is, though, we're not buying this anymore. It's simple and plain. We're not buying this anymore. And if anybody can speak to this, my friends, it's me. Like I said, I've been doing this for 16 years. I've been at the forefront of this field. I remember what it was like to explain to people what is a podcast, in the same way that Jeff Bezos had to explain to people what is the internet. I've been a pioneer in this field. So there's nothing you can tell me about this field, and there's nothing you can tell me about the fact that it's taking over or why it's taking over. So I'm disgusted. I'm absolutely disgusted. And I'm sick of people trying to bully and marginalize. The people who watch Joe Rogan are watching him for very good reason. The people who are seeking their news on X are doing it for very good reason. My message is this to the people who are supporting this, or the women on The View, who are absolutely puzzled and perplexed right now as to why they are failing so badly. My message is, this is not the time to fight. This is the time of reflection. If you are getting beaten in the ratings 38-3 million, I would highly recommend that instead of fighting Joe Rogan, because you've already lost. That's the thing. You can try to fight a guy like Rogan, but the ratings are clear. You've already lost the battle. What it is time for now is reflection. Okay? I would like to see the women of The View take a week off, go sit down somewhere with a nice cup of tea and a nice view, and say, okay, if I get 3 million views on my show, and this guy who's supposedly an evil, perpetuator of disinformation, who's wrong about everything, and he's a moron and an idiot, if he's beating me so badly, why is he beating me so badly? What do people see in this guy and other people like him that is making them like him more than me? And that's what I say to everybody out there right now. If you're not getting it right now, you better wake up and smell the coffee. It's time for reflection. Because I've been saying this on record for 16 years, that these mediums of podcasting and independent media and YouTube are going to overthrow the mainstream media. And what we've seen in the past 6 months is that it's actually happening. And it's happening right in front of our eyes. These shows are breathing their dying breaths. And for me, it's amazing to see, because they're completely full of shit. And I'm going to add this too. I think anybody, especially these women on The View, because these women on The View are in their 40s and 50s, sometimes even pushing 60, some of them. And it's not to be disrespectful at all. It's just a fact. They're older women. I would actually say, as a member of the younger generation, how dare you? How dare you try to tell my generation that we're wrong for coming up with a better way than you have? You don't know what it's like to be in this generation. You don't know what we're looking for. You can't relate to us. And I frankly don't want to hear it. Nobody over the age of 40 has the right to tell me what I should think or what I should be consuming or how I should view the world, because we are not in the world that you guys grew up in. I was not born into a world where mainstream media was reliable, okay? When mainstream media first started, when these people were teenagers, they were reliable news sources. CNN started off as a fairly reliable news source. Fox News, MSNBC, ABC, they started as reliable news sources. My generation has never had a reliable news source. Our reliable news source is X. Our reliable news source is Rogan, or whatever these shows are. And again, doesn't mean these services or people are perfect, but it is a better alternative for my generation than what you are offering to us. And I refuse to sit here and listen to you tell me why I shouldn't be investing in newer, better platforms and mediums. You don't know shit about what it's like to grow up in this generation. You don't know a goddamn thing. This is our world now, okay? And this is why we've seen things moving in the way that they're moving. Because we are the majority now. Your time is over, okay? The stranglehold of mainstream media, these big companies having a monopoly of what we think and say or are able to believe, it's over. Your time is done. You've had a nice, good run. It's over now. It's my time. I'm the View. Joe Rogan is the View. Joe Rogan is Johnny Carson. Joe Rogan is David Letterman. I'm Jay Leno. You're not shit. And I'm not taking it anymore because we've come up with a better way. We've come up with a better, more entertaining, sexier, more lucrative way. And you guys have sat on your fucking table and done the same show for 30 years. Get the fuck out of my face. I don't want to hear a goddamn thing from any of you. It's over. And I told you guys I was going to get pissed today. I told you guys I was going to get pissed today because I'm sick and tired of this shit. Let me calm down because now I'm getting pissed. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. It wasn't letting me see the chat here. Martin says, I'm 75 and don't want to hear the propaganda. Guys, I know trust me, I know there's a lot of you guys too who are from different generations who like the new medium. So I deeply apologize if I've offended anybody. I'm not trying to offend anybody. What I'm trying to say is that the people who are out of touch, who don't know why they're out of touch, need to take a step back. Okay, you need to take a step back now because we are reclaiming everything. This generation, we're reclaiming it all. This is our time. This is our planet. This is our future. And we don't want to be fed bullshit for a second longer. So to everybody from the other generations who's behind that, God bless you. I appreciate your support because we need the support. And just because these people have more money, which is debatable actually, but they have the money behind them. They have the infrastructure. They have the shiny studios, the nice cameras, the beautiful sets. That doesn't mean shit to us. Okay, that doesn't mean shit to us. I would much rather watch a show like I'm doing now. There are people streaming in their goddamn house off an iPhone who are more entertaining than The View and all these other shows. And it's not just The View, by the way. Let me say this. I don't have any personal vendetta against The View. I've just been sitting here every single day that I wake up and hearing these women spouting ridiculous shit and trying to put people down for trying to have a little bit more freedom. You can't do that. Actually, you know what? You can do that. And here's why you can do it, because I believe in freedom of speech. If somebody was to give me the option now that I could press a button and I could make sure that The View was non-existent, like if I could get away from it, you know, or sorry, take it off the air. Like if I could press a button and take it off the air now, I wouldn't do it. Okay? I would not do that. I don't believe that The View should be censored. I don't believe The View should be removed from the air. I put up a post today questioning how it's still on the air given the way that current trends are going. That's the thing. Given the terrible press, given the low ratings, given all of these circumstances, I genuinely do question how it's still on, how that works, how they're making the money to actually continue this show. But I don't believe it shouldn't exist. I think everybody should have their say. But what we should not have is a monopoly. And right now, shows like this are not saying the same thing. They don't believe everybody should have their say. They are scrambling to retain their power. And that, my friends, makes me sick. We're done. We're absolutely done. 2025, we're not fucking around anymore. We're not going to be told, that we're the minority anymore. Let's see what some of the comments are saying. We're going to respond to some comments too on my post. They go to Diddy parties. Who goes to Diddy parties? Magnus says, I'm from England. We don't know what The View is. I'm moving to England. I might move to England next to Ellen DeGeneres. Joe Rogan doesn't even adhere to journalistic standards. Exactly. That's the point. That is the point. He's not a journalist. It's just people talking. Let's see what some of you guys are saying. I love to read the comments, guys. I know I've been going for a while. Somebody said Joe Rogan is the only person making The View popular. Well, that was a really good point too, actually. So let's go read some of my comments, because I saw some great comments talking about this, and I think that's a great point to be made. I definitely think that a lot of the people who are trying to take away from shows like this are actually making them more popular without really realizing it. So yeah, I mean, again, I don't have a problem with that. But again, if free speech is a thing, you can do whatever you want, and I can say whatever I want about it. And both are equally valid. So my post that I put up today on Facebook was, how is The View still on the air? Genuine question. Let's read some of the responses. So Shane says, because the people who claim it sucks and that they don't watch it somehow still comment about exactly what happened on it every day. Well, Shane, I definitely think you have a good point there. I don't see how that correlates to the show still being on the air, because that doesn't correlate at all. What I will say is that you make a point. The only thing is, Shane, is that we actually are seeing it because people are putting up these segments in which, these things are being discussed. So, obviously you don't have to sit down and watch the whole show. I think it may add, some context potentially to what they're talking about. But I would say watching a 3 to 5 minute clip from a TV show that is segment based, that's basically a whole segment, that's a pretty healthy chunk to show what they're representing and what they say. So I think it's a little disingenuous to say that people criticizing The View don't watch it. I mean, I've watched all the segments in which I'm criticizing, and I'm still critical of them. So it's not a matter of not watching or not. Let's see what some of these other comments say. Lachey says, luckily people are still entitled to their own opinion. What kind of world do we want? Free speech is everyone's right, and so is respect. Lachey, I 100% agree. And look, that's why I put up my post, why is The View still on the air? That is a genuine question. Does that mean that I think The View should be off the air for freedom of speech reasons? No. I mean, I don't like the show, but I don't control what other people are allowed to watch. My problem with The View is that they're trying to control what other people watch and say. So I don't have a problem with their views. They can say whatever views they want. And I wholeheartedly believe everybody can. But you can't say your views while trying to shut down and marginalize the other side, which is actually outperforming you in all metrics. That's the thing. They're being outperformed by Joe Rogan and all these other shows. Patrick Bet David. I mean, it's not just Joe Rogan. He's the poster child for all this shit. You look at Patrick Bet David, you look at some of these other shows. I mean, I don't watch a lot of podcasts, to be honest, but you look at some of the people on the front lines. They're outperforming all the way around. Somebody says it's irritating because they interrupt each other. Valley, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I mean, look, reading some of the comments, guys, again, I'm reading what all you guys have to say. Let me see what YouTube is saying here. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. I love it. Joe Rogan is pretty down the middle. I don't think he's down the middle anymore. I mean, I think he's drawn a pretty hard line. What do you want me to say, Ish? What do you want me to say? So yeah, guys. I mean, look. At the end of the day, this is really my closing thought on this. I love every second of it. I love every second of watching the establishment slowly die. I've been waiting for this moment for a very, very long time. And watching the growth of it, watching how podcasting and free media has become so important to our communication, so important to democracy, so important to the very fabric of what holds us together as a society. It's a beautiful thing to see. You know, there's definitely a lot of issues as well in the field. There are issues with disinformation on all of these platforms, whether it's podcasts, whether it's X, whether it's this and that. And again, I do think these are conversations, especially as we start moving into weirder territory with AI. We're moving into territory where, you know, wrong information is becoming so much easier to put out and to actually pass off as real. I think we need to definitely have continued conversation as to how we can make these amazing newer platforms safer and more reliable. You know, especially if a show like Rogan's or these other shows are gonna be replacing the news, which they have, there should be adjustments made to a degree, just safeguards to make sure that we're not spouting bullshit on the air. Because I don't believe in that either. I don't believe in somebody going on in front of their audience and giving wrong information. I don't believe in people going on and pushing false narratives. And you look at a guy like Elon Musk, he's put a lot of ridiculous shit out that has just been disproven. He said a lot of ridiculous shit. So I think that what we need to do at this point, since we're moving on from the traditional stuff, is we need to find a way to balance free speech with real speech. Okay? Because obviously everybody can say whatever they want. But when you have a super large platform, like an Elon Musk or like a Joe Rogan, simply saying whatever you want can be dangerous. Like, you have to have the right to say it. But I think there needs to be some kind of safeguard. I do agree with that. But I don't know that we have the answer yet. You know, it seems like we've been leading up to this moment for a long time. Leading up to this moment for a long time. But now it seems to be happening very quickly. You know, the replacement of these shows. It seems to be happening very quickly. So yeah, we need to figure out a way to somewhat hold people accountable if they're going to just blatantly say disinformation on a massive platform. And I don't have the answer to that, guys. I don't have the answer. I don't know how we're going to do it, how we're going to balance it. So at the end of the day, maybe if you guys let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Mr. says there's only one exception to free speech, and it's speech that incites violence. That is the only thing not protected. Well, there you go. That's the thing. So just in the same way that there are, yeah, you can't, you know, say racial slurs to somebody out in public and consider that free speech. You can't yell, you know, fire in a theater and consider that free speech. I think in the same way that those common sense boundaries apply to everyday life, we need to come up with some common sense boundaries for these new platforms. I completely agree. Because I don't really like what Elon Musk has done with Twitter, to be frank with you. Like, when you look at the whole free speech crusade, I truly do believe in freedom of speech, but I don't know. It's tough, man. It's really, really a tough one. And this isn't a conversation that we're going to come, you know, to a conclusion to today. This is a conversation that needs to be ongoing. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, man. We're live on like a bunch of different platforms right now. To all my people on Kick, it won't let me see your messages, so I don't know how many people are watching on Kick, but make sure to let me know in the comments down below what you think about all this, guys. And it's all I'm going to say, it's a new time. It's a new time. It's a new era. It's a beautiful thing. Hopping over to another story, ladies and gentlemen. So this is super weird. Guys, this is super, super weird. I don't know if anybody's seen this story, but Leno, of course, the acclaimed, or I guess formerly acclaimed, talk show host, has appeared bruised black and blue after an alleged fall off a hill outside of a Hampton Inn hotel. Notice how even just saying that headline doesn't sound accurate. Well, it's not just me who doesn't believe it. It seems like the general public is not believing it either. So here's the video of Jay Leno. We're going to take a look, and you guys tell me what you think about his story here, because a lot of people are saying that his story is completely disingenuous and that there may be more at play here with this situation. We're going to go full screen for just a moment. Let's check it out.
What on earth happened to Jay Leno? Oh, your poor face.
Look at my eye.
Oh my gosh. Jay Leno is all bruised up. The left side of his face is black and blue. His eye is swollen shut. And look at his injured wrist.
I broke my wrist, lost the nail on the finger, and then I'm all black and blue.
The comedian says he fell down a 60-foot hill.
I said, well, the hill doesn't look that steep. Let me take it down! And then
You rolled down a hill? That's not true.
no, that's true.
What on earth happened to Jay Leno?
It's interesting to me how the guy who's interviewing him even says that's not true. So Jay Leno's sticking to his story, basically saying that his entire side of his face is black and blue, all the way down his body, by the way, he said in the full clip, due to the fact that he fell down a hill outside of a Hampton Inn. Now, a couple inconsistencies with this story. When we go ahead and look at Jay Leno's net worth, Jay Leno's reported net worth for today is roughly $450 million. Now, we have to remember net worth is obviously not what you have in your bank account, it's your assets. So this is a guy with a vintage car collection worth probably over $150 million. This is a man of means. So the idea that this man was staying at a Hampton Inn on the side of the road, one of the most budget hotels, I would say, next to a Super 8 or a Best Western, to me doesn't ring true at all. And it leads me to think that he may have been there, I don't know. This sort of reeks of like a loan, like not a loan shark because he's rich, but like a gambling situation. Maybe some kind of gambling debt. Now, I'm going to go to conspiracy land. But the thing is, this whole story just doesn't seem real. The other thing, too, is when you look at his injuries, I mean, again, this man is on the older side, so he may be easier to bruise. But, I mean, these injuries appear to be blunt force trauma. Like, I'm not an expert by any means. But, guys, I mean, I have never seen somebody take a fall. And they showed the hill which he reportedly fell down. It was not that big. I've never seen somebody take a fall and be beaten this badly. So, I mean, look, there's a lot of questions about Jay Leno right now and what this story might actually mean. All I know is the entire internet is basically saying this is complete bullshit. Somebody says, weird how he felt he needed to lift the eye patch. I know, the whole story is kind of weird, but what do you guys think? Why do you think Jay Leno was at a Hampton Inn? And why do you guys think that he is bruised black and blue to the level that he is? Some people have said gambling debts. Some people have said he may have known something. I don't know. I feel like this is one that we're going to have to wait a little bit to find out more about. Was it a rock hill? I mean, there may have been some rocks on it. They showed the hill that he supposedly fell down, and it was mostly bush. But I would imagine it wasn't. Look, it's not going to feel good to fall down a hill. I mean, yeah, the whole thing is super suspicious. Okay, so we're going to hop over to one more story. That's the thing. I loaded up this story, and I'm like, fuck. I mean, none of us know the answer, so there's not much of a story here. You would have to slam your face on a rock or something in the hill for that kind of bruise. Yeah, for sure. But either way, wishing Jay Leno well. Obviously, it's sad to see somebody injured like this. You know, Jay Leno also recently had some serious burns where he had to get skin grafts. So sending the best to Jay Leno, and let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Now, for our next story, this is a story I like a lot, actually. This is a good story. Ellen DeGeneres has reportedly fled the United States in wake of the U.S. elections, re-electing Donald Trump for a second term as president. Now, Ellen DeGeneres is one of the many, many celebrities, and we're going to take a look at the list in just a couple seconds, who vowed that if Donald Trump won the presidency, they would leave the United States. And it appears that Ellen has actually done it. Now, let me just say this right off the bat. I got to give Ellen a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause, because guess what? She said something and she actually stuck to it. Nothing turns my stomach more, especially than a celebrity who comes out and says, if such, so-and-so wins, I'm leaving the country. And then they stick around when that person wins to enjoy all of the benefits and money they can make in the United States. We're going to pull up the list right now of the celebrities who said they would leave if Donald Trump won. And Ellen DeGeneres, by the way, is the only one on this entire list who actually left and stood up for what she believed in. So Barbra Streisand said she would leave the country if Trump won. No signs of her leaving whatsoever. Cher said she would leave the country if Trump won. She is currently still enjoying all of the benefits she is afforded by living in the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. Sharon Stone said she would leave the United States and has not gone anywhere. Whoopi Goldberg has said she would leave the United States, and she's still sitting on the panel of The View crying and complaining about Donald Trump. Listen, I have no issue with anybody's political views. If you hate Donald Trump and you want to leave the country, I completely am for that, okay? But don't be a hypocrite and actually do it. And the people who actually do leave, I really respect that. You're standing up for what you believe in. I completely believe in that. Look, I have serious issues with the way my country is going over here in Canada. I have a serious problem with Justin Trudeau. I have a serious problem with the way this country is looking. So what am I doing? I'm planning to leave. I'm putting it together right now. I will be leaving the country because I don't believe in the country in the way that it's going. The people are amazing. I think that everybody here, they're fantastic. But the way that things are being run, to me, is further than what I can take. So if I was just to sit here and complain all day and night and not do anything about it, that to me is completely disingenuous. I think if you really have that much of an issue with the way that your country is going, damn well you should leave, 100%. So I truly respect Ellen DeGeneres for getting up and leaving. And again, this goes with the freedom. This goes with the freedom. And it shows how great of a country the United States is. If you don't agree with the way things are going, you're more than welcome to leave or stay or do whatever you like. That's the beauty of it, right? There are countries where you could not leave if you don't agree with the way it's going. There's countries where people are begging to get out or trying to escape because they don't believe in the way it's going, and they can't leave. So, Canada I would include in that as well as another, relatively free country where I respect the fact that you can either be with it or against it, and you can do whatever you want to do. Another person, by the way, who said they were going to leave the country if Trump won was Billy Joe Armstrong, rather, not Billy Joel, of Green Day. And it is absolutely hilarious to me. What has Billy Joe done since Trump won? Well, instead of leaving the country, he's now just announced that him and Green Day will be headlining the Coachella Music Festival in Los Angeles. Probably the most American event in the history of the world, celebrating the country. Not only that, taking money out of the country that he supposedly is so against at this time. The hypocrisy is absolutely stunning. And again, I want to make this very clear. To anybody who feels like they hate Donald Trump and they want to leave the country because of that, I completely support that. To the people who love Donald Trump, I think you have that right too. To me, it's not a commentary on people's political positions. It's a commentary on people actually following through with what they say they're going to do. So I have to say, for the first time in my life, I actually have a great respect for Ellen DeGeneres. Especially if you're rich and you're privileged like she is, there should be no excuse as to why you can't get up and leave the country if you have a problem. That's ultimately what it is. So shout out to Ellen DeGeneres, and we are going to keep an eye on the other celebrities who said they would leave and see if any of them actually follow through. And to be honest, I think the country is getting better with every celebrity that leaves. Honestly, I wouldn't want Ellen DeGeneres in my country. I think Ellen is vile. I think she's a horrible human being. And I'll tell you guys this too, because, as I mentioned in the beginning, I've been in this business and in this field since 2008. So I have heard so many things about Ellen DeGeneres treating her staff terribly, being abusive to people behind the scenes. These are all things that people in the field knew about far before it came out. I remember I did an interview with a writer from Ellen. This guy was a comedian and actor, but he'd also been a writer on many shows, including Ellen. And he was also on Chelsea Handler as a writer. You guys are going to know who it is, probably somebody. And I asked him the question, I said, who was harder to work for in your time? Ellen DeGeneres or Chelsea Handler? And you know what his response was? He looked at me with a smile and said, Chelsea Handler is a wonderful woman. So little things like that. We started hearing little things like that of people like too afraid to say that Ellen was bad or abusive, but because they still kind of want the money and they want to be able to work. And I understand that, right? We saw the same thing with P. Diddy. And what's unfortunate with Diddy too is that he mostly victimized people who were trying to make it with other famous people. So these people had even less of a position of power to speak up and say something happened to me. But we've seen this with all of these people. I also heard stories about Bill Cosby back in the day. I remember hearing from some relatives who used to live in Los Angeles that they met a girl who was waiting tables, who was an extra on TV. And this woman said that she had been made to feel incredibly uncomfortable by Bill Cosby. She told them straight up, I was there on the set of the Cosby Show. He was a dirty old man. He was trying to make advances on me. And she said it completely changed the way she viewed the entire business. This was in the 1980s, guys, or 1990s, okay? This was years and years ago, years before the allegations against him actually came out. So why am I telling you all this? Is because it's just fascinating to me to see all these people who could have been exposed a lot sooner, but the gatekeeping of what they've actually done has kept them out of the public scrutiny. Until, of course, everything ends up coming out, just like it has now with Ellen, just like it has now with Diddy, and just like it has now with all of the others. So there you go, guys. Very interesting day in the world of media. I had to get on and go a little bit crazy today and talk my shit, but that's what it's all about, man. This is it. This is the view. This is it. This is the news. So that's what we're doing. We're taking over. This is our time, motherfuckers. So step back. I love you guys. Have a phenomenal day. Got some interviews coming out. I have a lot of interviews coming out. So I'm just going to let you guys see them as they come. I'm going to tease them a little bit maybe on social media, but you guys will see them as they come. And of course, if you're watching the recorded version of this, let me know what you think down below in the comments. I wasn't able to see all the comments on my feed, so I'm going to go to Facebook and catch up. Shout out to my friends on Facebook. We're going to go to Kick and see what people have been saying over on that platform. And we're going to find a way to connect all of the comments as well. So I really appreciate you guys. Have a phenomenal day. We'll catch you next time.